Hi, welcome to Senior Savvy. I'm Jane Wells, your host for today's show. Senior Savvy is brought to you by the Oshkosh Senior Center, where it's our mission to enrich the quality of life for adults ages 50 and older. Oftentimes, as we get a little bit older, we start to make plans for retirement, or we start thinking about those kids growing up and being out of the house, and we have all these dreams and hopes and things we want to kind of get done and do, and then life throws us a curveball. And sometimes we find ourselves in the role of a caregiver. So today's show is all about caregiving, and not from the perspective of the person receiving care, but rather from the person who's giving the care. So I'd like to introduce my guests on today's show. I have Chris Armstrong and Betty Stone with me today, and each of them have a caregiving experience that they're going to share about, and then also some of the tools that we have to offer to help people through that experience. So welcome, ladies.
Well, thank you.
Great. Why don't you take a moment to just introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about you and
all that stuff.
All that good stuff.
My name, Chris Armstrong, and I am currently enrolled in the patient advocacy program through the University of Miami. I also am a facilitator for the program, for the Powerful Tools for Caregivers. My history with the caregiving is a continual one. I have a son who is 25 years old and has some disabilities, so that is my perpetual child, and I enjoy him a lot. I also had a very unique experience with my parents, and each of them passed within a year of each other, one with Alzheimer's, one with dementia, each having their unique set of needs. And so they did live in an assisted living. However, the caregiving portion of my sister and I was pretty intense, and so we have a lot of stories to share about that, if you'd like to hear them.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Anyway.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, Chris.
Sure.
I appreciate that. Hi, Betty.
Hi, I'm Betty Stone, and I take care of my mother. She is quite independent, so I'm the chauffeur, I'm the calendar, try to get her motivated to do things.
Sure. The check in on her,
Yes.
the make sure she's got things to do.
It's different. It's different taking care of your children than taking care of your mother. There's a different role there because mothers are, as I have stated before, I have never done anything my mother told me not to do. I've always done what my mother asked me to do. I've always done what my mother asked me to do. So sometimes it gets a little hairy between my family life and taking care of her. So
I'm sure of that, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about that because I think there's a lot of people who are in that exact same situation, getting pulled multiple directions and trying to figure out, and yet this is mom, and yet suddenly you're kind of mom to mom, which feels weird on one hand and yet necessary on the other. So we'll talk just a little bit more about that. So Chris, how long you said your parents were, how long did they need care? Thank you.
Well, they, as many folks with issues, they wanted to maintain their image of full health, and so they were very crafty in not allowing us to see the degeneration of their personal lives. But we, as a team, my sister and I, really took note of that and tried to respect that. They were ill, critically so, to where they really needed a lot of assistance and aid for probably 4 years each. Wow. I mean, together at the same time. Right. So it was a very intense 4 years. We had to move them from their home to a facility, from one facility to another facility, in and out of hospitals and back and forth. And with the Alzheimer's patient, he knew he had an illness and couldn't express it. Dementia, there was no recall of having an issue. So, we lost the parents here and there. They'd wander and meander, and they would be ill and not be able to help each other. And the acceptance of care for them was very, very challenging because they were the parents and we were the kids. And children shouldn't be taking care of their parents, and they made it very, very clear early on that they would be taken care of, and they didn't want to interfere with our world.
Right.
And God bless them for that.
You kind of had not only both of your parents going through issues at the same time, but then you still have a child at home who needs supervision, who needs help. Talk about that at all. How did you, was there any stress?
Oh, there was a little stress. Oh my gosh. I have 2 other children who were currently at that point each moving to their own separate lives to different parts of the country. And so the disability boy was also being introduced into the county programs. My parents moving into different facilities and understanding what each facility had to offer, what we needed to provide to them, and my son then having to have different levels of care, and then trying to balance the other two kids.
Right.
Oh, and then there's that marriage in there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, you know, isn't it wonderful that there's a book that you just open up to consult for all of these issues that tells you how to maneuver them?
I wish there was a book. That's like the How to Be a Parent book. It doesn't exist.
Yes,
so it is a
exactly.
learning on the road.
Yep.
And I've always maintained you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. So when I became a facilitator for this program, it really, really brought to light what those resources are. But many people, and Betty will get to this, I'm sure, is many people who are caregivers have no idea what they need until they're at that critical point where they need it.
Right.
So, and I'll let you take it from there. I'm
Yep.
sorry,
Okay.
I'm going to jump in your
okay.
spot here.
It's okay.
They don't know where to get it.
No.
Right. Right. So
And
Betty,
why would you?
Right.
Yeah. They don't know what they need, and they don't know
Right.
where to get it if they do know what
Right.
they need.
Don't know what the resources available even are. So Betty, talk a little bit about, like you said, you know, you had your family, but then you had your mom, and at what point did you realize that perhaps mom needs some looking after or some care?
She was living by herself, and it was 3 years ago, and she spent a real trying winter, and she was afraid to drive because of the weather, and so she didn't get out at all the whole winter. And depression set in, and she was just really having trouble. So being 200 miles away from her, I said, Mom, let's move you closer. Well, I'm not sure I'm ready to move yet. And so the apartment across from ours became vacant. I called her and I said, the apartment's vacant, you could just be right across the hall and we can work together. I'm not sure I'm ready to move yet. Well, we were on our way to church when I called her. And when we come out of church, there was a call from her and says, I think maybe I am ready.
Oh, so she had some time to think about it, and the advantage of being, you know, across the hall from you, how convenient. But that's a huge change in your life, my goodness.
Yes, I went from having all day to myself to making sure that she has what she needs, and that social part of it is really important. To get her out of the house, and get her out amongst people is important for.
But the social part's also important for you.
Yes.
To have some time that is not in that caregiving role, to still have fun, to still go out and do things, to still do activities with people that you know and enjoy. And that's, I think, you know, there's only so many hours in a day. How do you pick and choose where to spend that time? Caregiving is stressful, no doubt about it.
And it's also guilt-stricken. Because you feel guilty because you're taking that time for yourself. You feel guilty. And but if you do take that time for yourself, then you are more energized to work with the problems when they come up.
For the long haul. I have a short video that we're going to watch that just talks about some of the stress for caregivers, and, you know, like, we all are very aware of the stress that caregivers are under, but many times people who are even in that caregiving role don't recognize it, like you had said, until it gets to that critical point. So we're just going to share this little video that talks about the stresses of caregiving, and then we're going to talk about a great program that we have to help with some of those stresses.
Hi, I'm Mary Alexander from Home Instead Senior Care. Today I'm talking about the toll that bearing emotions can take on a family caregiver. To better understand how family caregivers are coping, Home Instead Senior Care interviewed over 1,000 family caregivers across North America. We learned that while most family caregivers experience a wide range of emotions on their caregiving journey, many struggle with difficult emotions such as anger, resentment, and frustration. Instead of finding outlets for these feelings, some family caregivers hide or bury these difficult emotions. Our research found that family caregivers who hide or repress feelings are the ones most likely to experience deep negative emotions. They also are the ones most likely to see their health suffer as a result of their family caregiving responsibilities. In fact, caregivers who bury their emotions are over 2 times more likely to have experienced depression than other caregivers. We also found that family caregivers who repress certain emotions feel more overwhelmed, frustrated, angry, alone, underappreciated, resentful, fearful, hopeless, guilty, and anxious than caregivers who do not repress their feelings. Family caregivers who repress their feelings are most likely to feel guilt over wishing they could do more, losing patience with their loved one, missing time with their families, moving their loved one from their home, complaining about the demands of family caregiving. Family caregivers who repress their feelings are most likely to feel anxiety over having difficulty watching loved ones decline, feeling as if they are not doing enough, feeling as if they have to be present all the time, feeling as if they are all alone, feeling the stress on their marriage. The good news is there are methods for coping with difficult emotions and reducing caregiver stress.
Mics are coming up, so.
So caregiving can be extremely stressful, and I just want to kind of go over some of the statistics that they have found with caregivers, and they mentioned some of them in the video, but they are really startling. For example, 20% of employed female caregivers over the age of 50 report symptoms of depression compared to 8% of their non-giving peers. 20% report clinical signs of depression compared to 8% who are not in a caregiving role. That's huge.
It's overwhelming.
It is overwhelming.
You know, I was very fortunate, and outside of the statistics, that my parents were very forward-thinking in their aging years, and we had a very open conversation about what they wanted, what they expected.
Nice.
They did not want us to be burdened with their health care, so we were very fortunate with that. Many families have no choice, and so I was able to balance that guilt and this depression, knowing that my parents didn't want that for me. But there is an extraordinary amount of stress for those people who don't have that benefit. The stress of family caregiving for persons with dementia has been shown to impact a person's immune system for up to 3 years after caregiving ends, thus increasing their chances of developing a chronic illness for themselves. That's unbelievable.
It's triggering all that fight or flight and that constant irritation of stress, and it knocks that immune system
right out.
Yes,
Yep.
it does.
And quite often the caregiver dies before the one that's taken care of.
And that's something you don't, then it leaves your caregivee, your patient, in a very vulnerable position.
Right. So, okay, so now we have this bleak, heavy picture.
Right.
But actually, we have a fantastic tool to help people who are in a caregiving role. And Chris and I, and another Chris Kniep, co-facilitate this. And Betty was a member, or took part in the class that we offered. And the class is called Powerful Tools for Caregivers. Chris, do you want to just tell a little bit about Powerful Tools for Caregivers? And first of all, it's an evidence-based program. What does that mean?
It's an evidence-based program, so there is research and there are studies that validate and verify the research and the impact to the participants. What it is not, and I think it's really important to clarify, it is not a class for how to give care to that recipient. It is all about the care to the caregiver, to make sure that that caregiver is at their best and can give their best to their spouse, their family member, someone in the community if they have a paid role. So it is a very good class that has 6 units to it, and we'll get to that. It comes with a book. It is met every 6 weeks. The participants all have a varying and unique way of handling their own caregiving situations. And these are tools for those people to communicate with each other, to share resources with each other, to formulate a group with each other, a support network. And there are 6 segments to it.
So
part of this is caregivers would go to a class to show them how to caregive.
Right.
When they're looking at a course for themselves to improve themselves, they'll skip that one because I've got to know how to take care of this person that I'm taking care of.
Right.
Where if you know how to take care of yourself while you're taking care of someone else, it will make it so much easier to take care of the person.
Right, and that's really one of the things we try to stress. So like Chris said, it is a 6-week program. We meet every Monday night, and really what we hope to do is teach self-care skills, how to take care of yourself, whether it's relaxation, whether it's making sure you get into the doctor, because a lot of people skip their own medical needs because they're busy caring for somebody else. Managing those emotions, that guilt, that anger, that all that stuff that we had talked about earlier, that those are huge things in a person's life. Learning how to get that in perspective and how to handle that. Trying to teach them how to have more confidence in the demands of caregiving, that they can do it or they can find the resources. And then lastly, of course, using and becoming aware of what community resources are available, how to use them, when you need to use them, and things like that. So that's some of the goals of the Powerful Tools for Caregiver program. So we have it kind of broken down into what each class does. So Chris, quickly, if you want to we'll kind of go with what happens that first week of class.
The first week, taking care of you. We introduce everyone to each other. We introduce them to us. We peruse the book and the resources. But it's all about focusing on you, the caregiver. And again, not the family member that's receiving that care. And that is a really important thing. The challenges of caregiving, the significance of self-care. And we do start with a video that kind of illustrates what a potential scenario can be in that if you don't take care of yourself, what can happen to that family scenario.
Right.
And we do introduce some resources as well.
We also want to identify stressors and how to reduce that personal stress. That's kind of what Class 2 is all about, recognizing some of the warning signs. How do you know when you're depressed? When you're in the middle of it, sometimes it's a little hard to know. It's
you need criteria as to identify that, because you are so busy with everything you're doing, you don't realize what's happening to yourself.
Or that your social circle has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller, and you don't do anything fun anymore.
So part of that recognition, oh no, I'm starting to see these signs in myself, signs and symptoms. How do I communicate what I need from my caregivee, and how do I communicate, or how do I interpret what they're saying to me? And so the third class is all about communicating those needs and concerns and your feelings appropriately to take some of the anger and some of the blame out of the conversation. It's really, really important that when your caregivee or the patient gets very, very angry, that you understand and dissect what that anger is really geared towards, so that we don't get angry back and keep a healthy relationship. So that's class number 3.
Class number 4 is all about communicating in challenging situations. Oftentimes there are other family members involved in the caregiving situation, or they have an opinion about what should be done or how it should be done or what should happen. And you would hate to have your family torn apart by it. So that class kind of gives you the tools of how to speak to get your point across, or to try to convey a message, or to hear what they are saying, but gives you the tools to do it so it doesn't come off as blaming or accusatory or anything like that. So class number 4 is all about communicating in challenging situations.
And class number 5, learning from our emotions. So we need to listen to how we feel. We need to interpret what that means so that we can get the best resources for ourselves. Dealing with those difficult emotions and feelings and anger, guilt, depression, that's a heavy way to live. And so we offer some tools and some potential professional help and recommendations there also to override that feeling.
And class number 6 is mastering the caregiving decisions. We try to give you tools for the changes that are going to happen, and how to set up a decision-making model that you can then kind of follow a template for when you have those difficult decisions to make. So most importantly, the next Powerful Tools for Workshop Caregivers session is starting Monday,
March 2nd.
Yes. And it will run on Monday evenings from 6 to 8 p.m., March 2nd through April 13th at the Oshkosh Senior Center. And the cost is $25, and that does include a book, a great, Betty, do you use your book at all?
Yes.
It's a great resource. Lots of what we cover in the class is in the book as well, so you get to take it home. It's hands-on, and go back to it and refer to it.
It has those how to communicate.
Yes.
They have, that is very good in the book. The book
Yes.
explains them very well.
Yes, I agree. And you know what? When you have those challenging situations, you can pop it up and go, that's right.
Yes.
I do want to just mention the cost is $25. And I might have said that. And there is a light dinner provided by Lakeshore Manor, which has been wonderful. But to get involved in the class or to sign up for the class, you just need to call the Oshkosh Senior Center at 232-5300. Again, the class does start in Monday, March 2nd. And we would anticipate that a person would be involved in all 6 classes. You don't just kind of pick and choose which ones you want to come to, because you really do build a network and a connectivity to each other, right, Betty?
Yes.
Well, and I think we failed to mention also that each of these sessions provides you with an action plan.
Yes.
And I personally am really bad with action plans, but it's a way of looking forward and to get yourself out of that rut. And if there's something that's really, really hard to do, let's work on making that better.
And what I liked about the action plan too was you had to share it with the rest of the group, so there was some accountability.
Yes.
I didn't do it again. Okay, well, let's talk about how we can make that happen. And I think that's an important piece because, again, there's so much coming at us all the time that it's easy to go. Whoosh,
Another thing with the action plan is you learn some of the what the other people are coping with, and you can understand why you feel that way because you're coping with the same things.
Right.
You can share that. What you've done that helps, and what they have done that has helped. And that is the nice networking piece to the program.
Exactly.
Each participant brings their own personal
Exactly.
If you just took the book and read it, you wouldn't get as much out of it because you wouldn't get that feedback.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your caregiving stories and the facilitating story. And again, we have another class starting in March, Powerful Tools for Caregivers. And this is a national program. It's not just something we whipped up here at the Senior Center. 232-5300 to register. All right. Well, in addition to the Powerful Tools for Caregiver class, we also have many, many other things happening at the Oshkosh Senior Center, and I'd like to share some of those things that are going on. We have our spring bird carving class starting in the woodshop, starting Thursday, February 5th through May 22nd, 8 to 11 a.m. Cost is $12 plus your user fee. Amazing what they do with a block of wood. Absolutely incredible, the artistry that is taught and what you can end up doing. We have an Alzheimer's education workshop on Tuesday, February 17th from 3 to 5:30 p.m. Free memory screenings will be provided by the Aging and Disability Resource Center, which also is a partner in our Powerful Tools for Caregiver class as well. I failed to mention that, along with the UW Extension. Winter Games is coming up Tuesday, February 24th, Thursday, February 26th, and Friday, February 27th. Get those registration forms in. The games are all set to occur, and it's a lot of fun for a big group of people, including a chili lunch on Thursday. The OSC Golden Tones are recruiting new members. The Golden Tones is our course, and it is directed by Paula Steiner. They're seeking basses and tenors to sing with a hardworking, fun, and friendly group. Rehearsals are Mondays at 1:30 p.m. at the Oshkosh Senior Center South Building. If you don't know anything about music, Paula will teach you. If you know a lot, you'll be surprised and amazed at the quality of sound and of the difficulties and things like that of the songs that are sung. Beautiful choir, of course. We are so blessed to have them. Advocap meal site is at the Oshkosh Senior Center, and they are proud that they have a brand new menu, and they encourage you to come in and try it out. Come down to the Advocap meal site and have lunch with us. Lunch is served Monday through Friday at 11:30 a.m. You do need to call the day before to reserve and let them know that you're going to be coming. Please call by 12:30 the day before you plan to attend. The number is 920-725-2791. Again, that's for the Advocap meal site. And that is actually held at the Senior Center, but Advocap actually runs the meal site. Exciting. Friday the 13th is coming up in March. In case you don't know what to do on that spooky night, we've got a great evening planned for you, a murder mystery dinner. And this is brought to you by the Friends of the Oshkosh Senior Center, and it will be at the Best Western Premier Ballroom, 5:30 p.m., cash bar, 6:30 p.m., dinner and theater. The theater is brought to you by Oshkosh Playing Around. Tickets are available at the Oshkosh Senior Center and at the Community First Credit Union locations. It is $40 a person. This is a fundraiser for us, but it is a great and fun way to spend Friday the 13th. You'll get to see some of the staff from the Senior Center in different roles, as well as just kind of a whodunit and trying to figure it all out. Never know who's the one who got murdered that night. And coming up on Saturday, February 28th, we have again, the Alzheimer's Education Workshop. I think that's the second time we're doing that one. But we also have the Family Art Fun on Saturday, February 28th. And this is open to anybody of any age is welcome to come on in to the Senior Center, grandma and their grandchildren, or even mom and dads and their kids. Come on down and do a picture with Trudy. It is on Saturday, February 28th from 10 to 11 a.m., $15 for adults, $10 for ages 5 through 16. And the children do need to be accompanied by an adult. But family fun art class. And then mark your calendars for Tuesday, March 17th. Oh, we're not the green. And I'm not even Irish. St. Patty's Day, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Oshkosh Senior Center, North Campbell Road. This is our north building. We will have snacks and punch for our social hour, and music once again by Seamus Fitzpatrick and the McNally Boys. Last year was our first year doing this event. We had a blast. We do anticipate tickets selling out, so if this is something you're interested in, come on down to the Senior Center and purchase your tickets. They are $8 per ticket. St. Patty's Day dinner. It's a great place to come, and you know what? And it's alcohol free, so it's safe for the family. It's a great environment. It's a lot of fun. 4 to 6, come a little bit earlier for some snacks and punch. For the little families, or families with little ones, or grandparents with little ones, we have Breakfast with the Bunny on Saturday, March 28th from 8 to 11 a.m. It's a pancake breakfast. Tickets are now on sale, $5 for adults, $3 for kids. Come on down and see somebody from the Senior Center in a bunny costume. I won't tell you who, but he's an awesome bunny. So Breakfast with the Bunny, and after you're done having breakfast at the Senior Center, you can head on over to the park and go to the egg hunt over at the zoo. How exciting is that? So lots of really great fun things happening at the Oshkosh Senior Center. I hope you get a chance to come on down. Don't tell me you're too young to come to the Senior Center if you're over age 50. We want to see you down there. We have something for everyone to enjoy. Ladies, thank you again for being on the show. And if you're in a caregiver role, come on down to that Powerful Tools for Caregivers, because it could make a real difference in your life.
Yes,
it really could. Thanks for watching Senior Savvy. We'll see you next time.